And I just need to hide Zoom again. All right, so this week in the discussion, we're going to be talking about style sheets. So repetition is one of the 4 principles used in layout design. And again, we just went over that in the first portion of the live session. Repetition is utilized to create unity within compositions. One of the primary places that repetition is employed is within typography. Consistent typography creates a cohesive, professional look, as well as giving the viewer a subliminal roadmap around the finished piece. Like I was saying, as a designer, you can make your viewer see your design how you want them to see it by using that repetition, by using those craft principles. You're guiding their eye around your piece. So you're already using this principle while you're writing papers for your classes. All of the body copy of your paper is the same size and has the same line spacing when you're using Word, and all of the pages have the same margins. This is actually repetition at work in typography as well. Another principle that is heavily used in typography is alignment. So while alignment means, more than lining type up to the left margin or the right margin or even centering it, it also means aligning multiple text boxes or images within the composition. So going back to the example of your paper that you've been writing for your classes, think about when you utilize bullet points or outline formats. The bullets are numbered or numbers are aligned, and then the text next to them maintains a straight line as well. This aids in organizing the information and creates the visual roadmap for the viewer that we've been speaking about. So paragraph style sheets and character style sheets, those are regularly used in InDesign to make the job of the designer much easier while creating the cohesive elements necessary for a professional, polished design. For example, the designer of a magazine will set up paragraph style sheets that record all of the specifications, size, leading, tracking, and so on of the body copy used for articles. They can then apply or change multiple characteristics with a single click. Again, so much easier than going through and manually changing all of the specifications. Properly setting up and using your style sheets in InDesign will give the designer a tool to help employ 2 of the principles discussed. So here's your prompt for this week. You've learned about how to use style sheets and how using them can make your layouts consistent to apply 2 of the principles of design, repetition, and alignment. Do you feel that restricting yourself by using style sheets hinders creativity? Find an example where you feel style sheets were used, but the design is still unique and creative. So you need to find an example online. Locate 3 places on that layout and tell us what type of style sheets may have been used, character or paragraph, to support a principle of repetition or alignment or both. Be sure to cite where you found the images that you're using and the artist or first name if possible. So here's a video that shows how to embed those images in the discussion, but I did show you that at the beginning of this live session as well. So for your reply post, you can look at other signs in the pieces that your fellow students presented, or again, you can supply your cover for critique from last week. And then let's take a look at the week 2 assignment. So we're going to be finishing up our menu in week 2. So what you're going to do is you are going to pick the best cover. Again, that can be based on the feedback that you got in the discussion, feedback from me, or if you're just like, you know what? I really like this one. There were a couple of people that I put in your grade book. I was like, man, these 2 are great. I'm not sure which ones I would pick. Or there might have been one where I'm like, I'm with you. I think that, the first one or I think the second one was the strongest of the 2. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes I might say one is strong and you're like, really? I really like the other one. Yes, you should make changes. You should make changes on your cover based on the feedback that I've given you. before you bring it into week 2. So again, I'm your client. I'm giving you the changes I would like to see. So before you add the menu to side 2, you know, the items from the menu, you're going to want to take all of my feedback that I gave you on the cover and apply it to the cover so you can show me in week 2 a hopefully finished menu that's ready to go to print. So let's take a look at the background for this assignment. So again, a restaurant's menu does more than inform the public of what they're serving. The stylistic choices that you make as a designer will tell the reader more about the food establishment than the words themselves. But in order to be able to say these or style these words, it's imperative that you learn how to control the typographical and image tools that InDesign provides to create your menu. For example, you're going to want a color outside of white for the background of your menu. The rectangle tool would be used to create a frame that spans the entire page. And remember, it should span it from the bleed line outside to the bleed line outside to all 4 corners. You would then fill the rectangle using a color from your swatch panel to give the appearance of a background. Several of the elements of design, including shape, color, and value, are applied to the page utilizing the rectangle tool or one of the shape options it provides. One of the menus above shows flip-flops that are cropped to the corner of the page. That is concisely and neatly achieved using the rectangle frame tool. The entire image is within the frame, and we can crop it wherever we wish without destroying any part of the image itself by adjusting the edge of the frame. If the layout changes, the image can be resized and recropped with ease. The rectangle frame tool would also be utilized to apply the elements of texture to the page. So developing a great understanding of the basic tools taught in this course will give you a jump start to creating a smooth workflow and allow you to spend more time applying the principles and elements of design rather than, fighting to get what you see in your mind on the page. You're going to begin to use shape, image, and typography tools with the ease in which you are currently using a pencil, paper, and scissors. An extensive list of the tutorials that address each of the learning objectives, again, is found in the Readings and Videos tab on the home page. So here's your prompt for this week. You're going to have a graphic presentation, type choices, and overall look that reflects the price point, market, and target audience of the restaurant that you chose. Make sure that your menu can be read in both sunshine and candlelight. Your ultimate goal is to express the restaurant's personality in a visual way. For this assignment, you're going to be finishing the project that you started last week by adding the menu items to side 2. Do not change restaurants this week. So what you need to do first is duplicate your week 1 menu cover file. I'll show you how to do that. Then we're going to rename it so it's called assignment 2. You're going to choose the strongest of the 2 covers and then delete the cover that you didn't use. You're going to make revisions to that cover per my critique. You're going to it says add a new page to your InDesign document, but you can just use the page 2 that's already there if you would like. And then you're going to create a layout for the restaurant that uses all of the text in the doc file. Do not retypeset from the JPEG. At least 2 of the photos that were provided. You're going to use paragraph style sheets. You can use character style sheets, but that is not a requirement. I'll just say that because sometimes you can get everything done by using just the paragraph style sheets, and that's fine. You're going to make custom color swatches based on the colors that you chose, based on the colors in the logo that you have, but you need to make some custom color swatches, and then you need to make tabs with leaders, and I'm going to show you what that is. You're going to apply the CRAP principles, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity, and the elements of design, which are shape, line, texture, color, textures in here twice, and value that you learned about this week, and that is in your readings and videos. If you copy the layout from the example, your creativity score is going to be 0 because your person can't, the restaurant owner came to you and they said they wanted a new design for their menu. They wouldn't ask you to redesign the same menu they have. They already have that menu. When you're finished your design, you're going to create a package folder. Be sure that the quality screen resolution is PDF is included. So that means a high-res PDF. I did not get picky about crop and bleed marks last week in your submissions. I am going to get picky and take off points this week. So we will go over that again, how to create those. And then you're going to zip the package folder and submit the file. So if you don't have your assets, you can re-download them. But let's get started. All right, so here is my packaged folder from week 1. I'm going to, and again, you'll notice I have my, my quick keys up on the screen again this week. So that way, if you're following along at home, you can see what it is that I'm pressing. I'm just using the command keys because there's going to be a lot of typing, and I don't want that to get like really annoying to see on the screen. So I'm going to go to Mod 6 in a different window. I'm going to open up week 2. And I've already downloaded a couple of files. For it in week 2. So I'm going to move this one here and delete that. There we go. So over in my my assignment 1, my packaged folder, which is the InDesign file that I know is done. I'm going to grab the InDesign file. I'm going to hold down Option. And I'm going to drag it. And see how it gives me that green plus sign? I'm going to drag it into week 2 and let go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Enter. And I'm going to rename it Assignment 2. And this is what I'm going to work out of, is this Assignment 2. And open it up. Now, before I do anything, I want to show you how to set up one more time those crop and bleed marks. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Adobe PDF Presets, and go to High Quality Print. And hit Save. It's going to show you your file as a PDF. Hit Save. Under Marks and Bleeds, you want to check all printer marks, use document bleed settings, and then click Save Preset. And I'm going to name this Marks Bleeds Mod 6 because I do this like every mod. And then click OK. I've got like 100 presets already in there for Marks and Bleeds, and hit OK. And then I'm going to hit Export. And it will make a PDF file that have these crop and bleed marks and these registration marks. That's what I should see when I open your PDF. Next time you go to package your PDF, go to File, Package, and then hit the package. Where it says include a PDF print, you are going to select that preset that you just saved, Marks Bleeds Mod 6, and click the package file, and it will put a PDF in there that has the marks and the crop and bleed marks. All right, so let's say that you like page 1, that menu. All you need to do is go to page 2 and do a Command A, select everything, and delete it. And you're good to go. But what if you like, the menu, the cover from page 2? What you can actually do is open up the Pages panel, and you can drag page 2 to in front of page 1, make that the new page 1, and then delete everything that's on page 2. Or there's a couple, again, like it's kind of like you can do everything 3 different ways. Or you can click on page 2, completely trash page 2 or page 1, and then select create a new page and make a new page 2 to put your menu on. Any of those ways is fine, but you just need obviously 1 cover for this week because menus only have 1 cover. All right, I am going to go in to our restaurant assets, and I am going to grab the Maxwell's menu text and open it up in Word. And this is something that I like to do that other people might not necessarily like to do, but it gives me a visual before I start bringing the text into InDesign. I like to go through and figure out what are going to be my headlines, what are going to be my subheadlines, and what is going to be what I call my body copy. So a headline is the biggest text on the page. The subheadline is the second biggest text on the page, and the body copy is the smallest text on the page. So each of these has a headline, a subheadline, and a body copy. So we have different parts of the menu. We have beginnings, from the sea, USD prime beef, specialties, and endings. Then we have subheadlines, which would be the item. So the lobster bisque, the jumbo shrimp, the Caesar salad. And then the description would be what I would call my body copy. So I am going to select all of the headlines and just click on heading 1 in Microsoft Word. And the reason why is when I'm trying to figure out what I need to change in InDesign, I kind of have a visual to follow along with. Then each of the items, I'm going to name heading 2 or select heading 2. Heading 2. Oops. And it's not going to copy over into InDesign, but again, it gives me a visual reference. I'm a visual person. It's easier for me to see what's going on than to try to read through everything. I also like to do this ahead of time because this is going to be something that's going to help me out when I add in those tabs with leaders. So the space in between the item and the price, I select it, the space there, and I hit the tab key on my computer, the tab key. Because I'm just going to manually add in a tab. And then what we do in InDesign is we adjust those tabs. So they're all the same, you know, the prices start and end at the same spot. It just makes it look far more professional and nicer. But you only need 1 tab. You don't need to line it up in Microsoft Word because we're going to line it up in InDesign. Now that we have that all done, I feel like this is ready to copy in to InDesign. And I'm actually going to select everything and copy it. And go over to InDesign. Now in InDesign, I know that I'm going to make, you know, a menu. I think menus that are 8.5 by 11 menus are easiest to read if they are set up in 2 columns. So that's what I want to do. I want to set up page 2 to have 2 columns. So I'm going to go up to layout and I'm going to go to margins and columns. And I want to change the number of columns from 1 to 2. But I want more of a gutter. The gutter is a space in between those columns. I want this to probably be like probably a 1/2 inch, honestly. I don't want the text to feel like it's sitting on top of each other. And I'm going to hit OK. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 2 separate text boxes and making sure that I stay inside of my margin. So first one, and again from the start of that column to the bottom to the edge of this margin. And then I'm going to select, and I'm going to go into this text box, and I'm going to paste all of my text in. And what do I notice? It doesn't fit. It actually gives me this little box down here, a red box with a plus sign, which I'm going to take a screenshot of because every time you zoom in, it doesn't really show it. So I want to come on. Oh, you're going to make me go somewhere else, aren't you? All right, so this is what it looks like. This little red square with the plus sign. This is a plus sign, but the plus sign was right on the edge, so it looks like a minus. So what you need to do is in InDesign, you need to go to your direct select tool, which is you can hit V or go up to the black arrow, click on the entire text box, the one that has the box, and you're going to click on that box with the plus sign. And it'll give you, see how it kind of made this arrow with a lock to linking links and some text. What that means is it's going to lock this, it's going to link this text box to this text box. And I'm going to just click in this text box that I already drew. So now, anytime my text gets larger, it flows from one text box to the other. I don't have to manually take the text out and move it over to the next text box. Another thing I'm going to do is you'll see that there are these 2 extra returns at the end. I'm going to delete those because those can cause that little red box there, which is called overset text. All right, so I need to think about what fonts I'm going to use on this page. So this first version that I'm doing, this is going to be my fancier restaurant, but I also want to look at the fonts that I have going on the cover. And I was using Baskerville as a font, and it's a really nice, simple, easy to read font. So I'm probably going to use that font on my menu as my body copy. So I want to set a paragraph style. And so that way I don't have to go through and select each line individually and set it to Baskerville up here. I'm just going to do it once and then click a button. And I like to take care of my body copy first. The reason why is I can select everything because this has the most copy on this page is the body copy. So it would make more sense to me to set all of my body copy first and then just go in and select, you know, one word or one line at a time afterwards to change the other text. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to open up my paragraph styles. If they are not already open in the sidebar for you, go to Window, Styles, and go to Paragraph Styles. And I want to create a new style. So I'm going to click on the little blank sheet of paper. It looks like it's been dog-eared, so it's been folded up on the corner. I'm going to click there, and it's going to name it Paragraph Style 1. I'm going to double click, not right on the name, because if you double click on the name, you can just change the name of it. You want to double click off to the side so you can change the options as well. But I am going to name it Body under General, or Body Copy. And it's going to be based on no paragraph style, basically. And under my basic character formats, I'm going to change it from Mini and Pro to Baskerville, regular. Right now, I'm going to leave it at 12-point type because I'm not quite sure what font size I need, and I can adjust it later. As far as advanced character formats, I always want to leave my horizontal and vertical scale at 100%. You don't want to skew your fonts. I don't need any indents or spacing right now. I don't need any tabs right now, but I will. And I don't need any drop caps because that would be really confusing to read on a menu. As far as character color, I'm going to leave it black because it's the smaller text on the page, so I want to leave it black. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to select all the text by doing a Command A. And then over in paragraph styles, I'm just going to click on Body Copy. And it changes the font and all of the characteristics for everything, which is perfect. Now, I said you don't need to have a character style, but I'm still going to show you a character style. So that way, if you want to use it, you know how. So again, I'm going to go to Styles, and this time I'm going to click on Character Styles. I'm going to drag these two out and put them together. So if you put one on top of the other, like that, there we go. They'll be linked together, which they kind of should be. So I want my name of, you know, I'm not going to do the character style now. I'm going to base it off of my sub headline. I'm going to make the price a different color, and I'll do that with a character style. That's how I'm going to do it. All right. So next, I need to think about what I'm going to use for my headlines and my sub-headlines. So again, this is a fancier restaurant. So I think for my headlines, I think I'm going to use a nice script font, and I'm going to look for one in Adobe Fonts. So I can kind of show you guys again how to do that. So I'm going to go to fonts.adobe.com. Again, make sure you're logged in with your name. I think I probably told the story about how I couldn't figure out why my fonts weren't showing up in my program. And I have two Adobe accounts. I have like a really old one, and then I have one that is my Creative Cloud. Like I have an account since before Creative Cloud was a thing. I was logged into the wrong one. I kept adding fonts, but they weren't going anywhere because it wasn't linked to my Creative Cloud. And I'm like swearing at the computer, and then it was me. And as soon as the light bulb clicked, I was like, oh, and then put it back in on the right account, and it showed up a second later. I was like, whoops, my bad. These things happen. All right, so I want a script font that's good for a heading and would be good for a an elegant font. So this is not very fancy or elegant. It's kind of bold and kind of bubbly. So same with this one, bold and bubbly. This is a little bit fancier. That is hard to read. That's a little, this is, you know, very fancy, but in a I'm signing the Declaration of Independence type of way. Same with this one. Doesn't Doesn't really fit the vibe of my restaurant, which I'm going to put in the text I need. What's the text? It's like beginnings. So I'm going to copy that in. This will give me a good idea what it'll look like. I want it to be fancy but easy to read. I think there was a better one on page 1. This is a good one. Oh, I already have it activated. Let me try hand, which is like, it looks like handwriting. And I'm going to put in all. That's way too complicated. I don't want all caps. I kind of like this one. The reads, it's very easy to read, which is important because it's a menu. All different types of people. You don't want somebody who has a difficulty like seeing to not be able to read the menu. So that's something you need to consider. You know, that if somebody forgot their glasses at home, have you ever seen that that commercial with the couple that forgot their reading glasses at home and then they bring them out the ginormous menus that are like 10 feet tall? You don't want that to happen. So you want your font choices to be legible. So I'm going to pick this one. It's called Wreath. I think it's easy to read. Go back in. And I'm going to create another style. This one I am going to call headlines. Under basic character formats, I'm going to make it Wreath. We'll go with medium and see how that is. I'm going to just put in 24-point type and we'll see how that looks. And right now I'm going to leave it at black, but I am going to, I'm going to make a custom color for this and for the prices. And so I'm going to hit OK. And just for a moment, I'm going to scroll up and I want this to be that red of the logo. So there's a couple of different ways that I can add that red in. First way, which is really the way you should be doing it, is go to your links panel, click on your logo. Oh, and another thing. Make sure, everyone, that you are using the Illustrator version, the .ai version of the logo that you were given. Do not resave the logo as anything else. Do not edit the logo. Just place the logo that they have given you. A lot of times, customers will give you a logo because they have a high-res version of their logo, and that means that that is the file that they want you to use, and this is one of those instances. Now, I want to get that color out of this logo, so I'm going to click on it in the links panel, and what I can do is I can say Edit Original, and it will open it up in Illustrator for me. So I don't have to go find it in my links folder and open it. It opens it right up for me through the InDesign program, which is pretty cool. Just give it a minute. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to select the N. With the white arrow tool because of the way this logo, I didn't build this logo. Somebody else built it and it's a mess, as you can see. It's like a really old logo from a really old version of it. Ugh. And it doesn't have It's technically vector, but it's a mess. All right, so you probably will not need to do this. I'm going to eyedrop it, and I am going to bring this into my swatches. And the easiest way to get this over to InDesign is to make a library for this. So I am going to create a new library. It's going to be called DES 105 Mod 6. And I'll create. And I'm going to drop, oh, come on. Add to my library. There we go. I hate that. This is one of those times where I hate that Adobe does things differently. In InDesign, you drag it in to add the swatch. In Illustrator, you have to double click on the swatch and click on Add to My Library, and then make sure you select it from the drop down. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to make it 16 by 100 by 81 by 47. I'm going to simplify that swatch because I honestly, you know, I dropped it. So let's just make it a little simpler. And then I'm going to click OK. And there's that swatch. It's in there. So now when I go back into InDesign and I open up my CC libraries, I'm going to find DES 105 Mod 6. Here's that color swatch. I can set color. I clicked it a little too quick. Set color. I can add it to a group. I just clicked set color and it adds it to my swatches. And you'll notice it's a CMYK swatch, which is good. So if yours comes up RGB, what you would need to do is double click, go make sure it's process, not spot, and make sure it's CMYK, not RGB, and then click OK. And go back down. So now in my paragraph style, what I can do is, there we go. All right. What I can do is go to my headline, double click, go to character color, scroll down and make it that red and hit OK. And you can see that it changed it. So it's going to change it everywhere that I have my, that character. So let's go through and grab the rest of them. So it's beginnings. This is where this is helpful. From the sea. What did I do? Did something here. Let me save this. Something weird going on. Ah, what on earth are you doing? Close you out. Open you back up. Oh, I know what I did. No, I didn't. Object. What on earth? I don't know why everything is turning to. All right, there we go. That was weird. I would like to explain how I fixed it, but honestly, it was just a whole bunch of nonsense trying to get it to work. All right, so from the seat, I'm going to click on headlines. USDA prime beef. Again, click on headlines. Specialties. And endings. Now, I have a couple of things that I want to fix about this. First off, I think that these lines are too close, so I want to fix that. Second off, I think I don't know if I want this centered. I probably do want it centered between the text. So I'm going to click on my headlines again. This is the only thing I don't like is like, you know, things kind of escape. Let me move this over here so I can see it. And headlines. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go down to indents and spacing. And what I want to do is I want to give some space after the line, which is right here. And preview so I can see what's going on. See how that gives it a little bit more space so it's not sitting right on top of that line below it. So I just went to 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch, but again, it really, and it's going to fix it throughout. I also want my alignment to be centered. And I think I need the type size to be a little bit larger. I'm going to change it to maybe 28 and hit OK. All right, there we go. Great. And then I still need a subheadline. So for my subheadline, I'm actually going to base it on my body copy. So I'm going to create a new style, and I'm going to name it subheadlines. And I'm going to double click. And I want this to be based on my body copy. So that way when I go into my basic character formats, it's already at Baskerville. I'm just going to change it to be bold. And I'm going to make the size maybe 16 point type. And hit OK. So now I can select the items, do subheadline, two more. All right. But again, there's a couple of things about this that I don't really like. I don't like that the ounces are so prominent. I don't really feel like they should be that prominent. I feel like they should be the same as the body copy. But look, if I select just 12 ounces and I click on body copy, it changes the whole line. I can't just change characters in that line. This is where setting a character style comes in, where you want to change just a couple of characters in the line. You don't want to change the whole paragraph. And a paragraph in InDesign is anything before a return. So each of these has a manual return, which means even though it's only one line, InDesign thinks of it as being a paragraph. So I'm going to create a new character style for the ounces. I'm going to click character, it's going to name it character style 1. I'm going to double click. I want to base it on usually it'll let you. I'll base it on none, I guess, which is fine. I'm going to name it, though. I'm going to name it ounces. And I want it to be Baskerville, regular, 12. I'm just going to put in auto. And black is just fine. So that takes care of that. So I'm going to do the same thing for the 16. I'll probably grab the line as well. 10 ounces. And I think that's the only place for that. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to line up all of these prices. So remember how I was talking about those tabs? That's where these tabs come into play. So tabs are one of the things that everyone has a hard time with, because it's like you just need to get a feel for what it is that you're doing. And I think it's easiest if you zoom in first. So I'm going to zoom in over here and make sure you get kind of everything lined up. So I want just this column in my screen, basically. And I'm going to make a new style, double click, and it's going to be based on that subheadlines, because that's where the font is. Hold on, actually, let me double check something. Nope. And I'm going to name this tabs. I'm literally going to name it tabs. Or you can name it prices. And I'm going to go down to this tab setting right here. And this is the part that's confusing. So first we have this ruler right here. The ruler goes from one end of the text box to the other end, okay? And there's an arrow. So when you hit tab, if the arrow is on the left justified, the tab is going to end at the beginning. If it's right justified, the tab is going to end at the end of the number. If it's center justified, it's going to be the center of the number, whatever that is. Or you can justify it to a decimal. So if these were 14.99, you would justify it to the decimal. I am going to right justify it because I want the tab to end at the margin for each of these. So I'm going to click on right justified, and I'm going to click in this area. And you can probably see the arrow in between the where the menu option is and the ruler. You click in there, and if you need to adjust it, you need to click right on the arrow. And if you don't click, if you click next to it by accident and add a different one in, just hit delete or clear. Clear all. That's usually the easiest. And I'm going to drag it right to the end of the ruler, or right to the end, right before that tick. See that little tick right there where then it gets black? That means that it's past your text box. So I'm going to try to drag it as close to the little tick, which is the end of the text box. And I'm going to add in a leader, which is a period, which means it's going to add all periods in between my item and my price. And I'm going to hit OK. So now I need to go through and select those subheadlines and make them the tabs prices. Or what I can do is, because I realized I wanted the tabs in there, I can delete subheadlines and replace it with tabs prices, which would be the quickest way to do that, and hit OK. And this should have been based on, took out that format. Why? Oh, because I deleted it. That's why. So we need to go back through Baskerville, bold, 14. There we go. And hit OK. And why on earth did it change where it was? All right, so drag it again back to the tick. Kind of mess things up. My InDesign's been acting a little bit weird. If yours is a little bit weird too, save everything and restart it. I can't really restart during a live session, but it usually, as annoyed as I am that things like this happen, I kind of like that it happens during the live session because I can show you how to fix things and hit OK. So another reason why you would want to align it to the right as opposed to the left. Let's say that they changed the prices and now it's $14.50. See how I can add in the 0.50? If it was aligned to the left and it ended right here, if I added in the 0.50, it would move the 0.50 to the next line, which is not what I would want. All right, so let's say that I want the prices to be red. Again, I have to do the same exact thing. I need to make a character style. So I made a new character style, and again, I'm going to need to click, and I'm going to base it on none. And my basic character formats are, it's going to be Baskerville, bold, 14, but the character color is going to be that nice little deep red that I made. And hit OK. So now I can go in and select the prices. Oh, I forgot to name it. I'm going to name it prices red. And I can change these just to red. So again, my repetition, I'm leading the eye through the page. All right, so now you need to add in at least 2 photos. So your photos were provided with those assets. So I'm going to go in and again, go into the assets, into Maxwell's, and I'm going to grab the shrimp, I'm going to grab the steak, and I'm going to open them both up in Photoshop. And while it's doing that, I'm going to save my menu just in case where weird things were happening. Save and save often in InDesign, right? All right, so nice shrimp photo. I'm going to go up, go to image mode, make it CMYK, hit OK. Image size, I want it to be 300 DPI, so where it says 240, I'm going to change it to 300 DPI and hit OK. And then I'm going to do a file, save as. I'm going to plop it in week 2. And close it out. And for this image, I want to take out the white background because for my background of my page, I think I want to do a patterned background. So the easiest way to do this, honestly, is to select it with the magic wand tool in here. Make sure, change your tolerance to about 16 up at the top, and then hold down Shift and just get in here and get as close as you can to this. You might need to zoom in. And then go to Quick Mask and just kind of clean it up a little bit. So I'm going to color in where I need it to still be selected. Very messy. And erase out the parts I don't need. Quick Mask is just such an easier way to do things sometimes, and this is one of those times. And I always just go to all the edges and look. All right, and then hit Q again for Quick Mask. And I'm going to click on the Add a Mask. Whoops, hold on. Select the inverse, and then Add a Mask. There we go, and remove that background. And again, I'm going to go Image Mode, CMYK. Okay. Image size. Image size. That is Array 300 DPI, perfect. And I'm going to do a Save As. And again, put it in week 2. And this time I'm going to name it as a PSD file because I took out that background. And close it. And next, I'm going to make a new file that is the size of my background. So I'm going to go print. I'm still in Photoshop now. And I need it to be, I have to add 8.75 by 11.25. 8.75, oh, come on. 8.75 by 11.25 because I need to take into consideration the extra size of the bleed. I want it to be CMYK. Actually, I want it to be grayscale. You'll see why. And create. And I'm going to go up to Edit, Fill. And I'm going to select a pattern that I already have in here, which is this one. And it's a very subtle pattern. See, just really subtle. And you can find subtle patterns by going to subtlepatterns.com and download them. And when you download it, you will open it up in Photoshop and you will go to Edit, Define Pattern, and it will add it to your patterns. I'm going to save this as cover menu background. And I'm just going to save it as a JPEG. Actually, I'm going to save it as a TIFF file. Save. Okay. And close. Go back into InDesign. And under my layers, which, right here, there we go. I'm going to go to my background layer. And I'm going to draw, again, from bleed edge to bleed edge. Oh, for some reason it defaulted to black. I don't want that. Where are my swatches? Change that to none. There we go. And I'm going to go File, Place. Go to week 2. My background. Open. I'm going to go to the white arrow tool and select it. And this is because I saved this as a TIFF. I can colorize it by clicking on, there we go. I can colorize it by clicking on the image with the white arrow tool and clicking on a swatch color. And you'll notice it just colorizes the pattern itself, the image. It doesn't colorize the box. See, I can make it, I mean, I could get really crazy. That's would be hard to see, so I'm going to make sure it's white. And now I have just a nice subtle gold pattern going on back here. Next, I need to add in those images. And this is the reason why I took the white background off of the steak, was I didn't want the steak, you know, to the white background to conflict and be sitting on top of my nice patterned background. So I want to add in my image of my shrimp in between beginnings and from the sea. And there's two different ways that I can do this. I'm going to show you the easiest way. I'm going to go in and grab my rectangle frame tool. I'm going to draw a rectangle that is from margin to margin, and maybe this big. I'm going to go to File, Place. I'm going to grab my shrimp image and put that in there. And then I want it to fit better. Whoops, I also need it to be on the right layer, sorry. Command X. Go lock that background layer so I don't accidentally do things. And then I'm going to do an edit, paste in place. There we go. So now I'm on the right layer. I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, and I want to fit the content proportionally in my frame. Great. I'm going to select this again. And again, I'm going to do a Command X. And go with my type tool, and I'm going to put my cursor above the from the sea in between the last item. So I'm adding in, so now I have 1 space, 2 space, 3 returns between these items. I'm going to go to the second return, and I'm going to hit Command V, and I'm actually going to paste my image in there. Nice and big. And then I think in that way, no matter what I do with my text, my image will move within my text box and it'll stay with everything. That's the reason why I did that. Actually, I might get rid of that return and add an extra one here. There we go. And I'm going to move the specialties. There was an extra return here. I'm going to get rid of that because I want to put my steak nice and big down here. So again, I am going to draw a box, and it's going to go from right kind of within this area, but I'm going to go all the way to the bleed. I'm actually going to go a little bit past the bleed. And then File, Place, bring my steak in, and again, Object, Fitting, and this time I'm going to say fill frame proportionally, and I'm going to go with my white arrow and just manually move that over. I might want the steak to show the other way, which I can do. I'm going to select it with my white arrow, and I'm going to right click or control click, and I'm going to go to Transform, Flip Horizontal. And see how it puts it way over here? I don't know why it does that. I'm just going to grab it with my white arrow tool and move it back in where I need it. Just so that way I have the nice green. And that other part of the steak was a little bit weird. So that can be the part that we don't see. I'm just going to bring it up a little bit. And then I'm going to hit W so we can look at this and see how it looks. Yeah. Just going to let bleed off to one side. There we go. Perfect. So this one is ready to go. This is my fancier one. So I'm going to save it. And again, I'm going to package everything. So I have everything I need to submit in one area. I'm going to go to File, Package, and make sure that there isn't any problems. So click on Show Problems Only. You shouldn't have any missing fonts. You shouldn't have any missing images. You shouldn't have more than the 4 CMYK colors. And then click the Package button. And then I'm going to go to week 2. It's going to name my folder Assignment 2. And again, I want to include that PDF, the one that's the marks and bleeds. If you don't have the marks and bleeds, I will take off points this week. I didn't take off points in week 1. Click OK. And always double check what you're submitting. Double check your PDF first. Make sure everything looks right. Make sure that the bleeds are there on your PDF. You got the crop and bleed marks in those registration bars. Make sure that you can read your menu when it's zoomed out like this, that you don't have to zoom in to see anything. Make sure you've got everything where you wanted it to be. And I'm going to close it. Now, let's say that you had a menu that was more of a casual dining. I'm going to do a quick file save as. Put it in week 2. I'm going to name this one Casual. I'm going to give you some ideas for some fonts. So I'm going to go into the paragraph styles. For the headlines, I'm going to double click, and instead of having that fancier script, although that's not really a fancy script, I feel like this font for the headlines would really work for anything. Either one. So I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to go to the body copy though. And under basic character formats, I'm going to change it from Baskerville to Futura. Futura would work really well with both Starlight Bistro and with the walk and roll. And the reason why I say for walk and roll is because that font for the logo is very similar to Futura. I'm going to change it to Futura at least medium or regular. The condensed will be really hard to read. And I'm going to hit OK. And then under the tabs and prices, I'm going to change that font to Futura. In this one, I'll do Futura Bold, hit OK. And then under my character styles, I need to change my prices to Futura Bold because remember I had it as Baskerville to add the different color in. And the same thing with the ounces, Futura Medium. Okay. And you'll notice Futura is a little bit of a, it's a bigger font. So you might need to adjust things a little bit. Maybe you need to lose the return here and the return here. And manually bring from the C up. Whoops. And closer to the image to get this part on the, above the line. Move the return right here. And then maybe I would probably make the stake maybe a little bit smaller or something. And there. And now you have some good font choices for your casual dining. You too. Have a good day. And again, file. You're going to save it. This one's my casual one. File. Package. I'm going to just show you it again. Package the file one more time because this is the part people do have a little bit of a difficult time for. Again, make sure you have those marks and bleeds. And when you go to submit it, Make sure it is zipped. So you want to grab the correct folder. So go into your week 2, find your folder. It'll always be named folder at the end, and either control or right click, depending on your mouse or your setup you have going on here. Go to compress and zip that folder. And then what you can do is when you are submitting your assignment, you can choose to submit both the zip file, and where it says add another file, you can click and you can go into the folder and select just the PDF file and upload it. And then I can leave you feedback on your PDF file. So that way I can mark it up for you. Might make your life a little bit easier if you want to go in and resubmit anything for more points. All right, so do we have any questions for today before we end? And again, this is something that you're going to have to probably rewatch in order to do the assignment for this week, because there is a lot going on with those style sheets and creating the tabs, but the help section is really going to help you out as well. If you just Google tabs InDesign, it'll bring you right to the set tabs and indents, where this might help you to follow along if it's hard to see on my screen. So I'm going to actually add this to the slides underneath demo. And again, I always share my slides in the announcement, so you'll be able to go in. And then I'll share that subtle patterns as well. Website. So that way everyone will have it. There you guys go. And again, if you find that you have any questions or concerns, please come to the multi-session tomorrow. You can text me, you can email me, you can call me. I think you guys know that I'm pretty, I definitely want to help. I'm giving you tons of ways to be able to get in touch with me. Please check your email if you are missing work, because you will have an email from me, and I probably did try to get in touch with you today, so you might even have a voicemail from me. I hope everybody has a great week too. Have fun with the designs, have fun in InDesign, and I hope to see you tomorrow at the multi-session if you need it. Have a great day, everyone.